Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2M Net podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling. You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max, number 249. I'm your host, Sean Garmer, and here with me, as always, Mr. Marc Morrison.
Howdy.
Also with us, once again, Jens Dietrich.
Ahoy, ahoy.
So, I did promise that, Jens and I were going to have our Series X's by the time you heard us again, and yes, we did get them in. Jens got his a day before me. He got the spoils before I did, but we're going to talk about the whole reason why we're actually doing this show is to basically do our review and thoughts on the Series X like we did for the PS5 last on Friday, which you should go check out if you didn't listen to that show. Randy was on as well, so he also has a PS5, and we talked about pretty much almost all the launch games that were of note to talk about on that show. We'll talk some more about the ones that happen to be on Series X. Marc doesn't have a Series X, but he is playing one of the big, I guess, probably the biggest Series X game that you can have for both consoles on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, so we'll get to talk about more about that. But also, earlier in the day yesterday, by the time you're hearing this, the Game Awards nominees, the Jeff Keighley show, as it's, I guess, more relatively called, got their whole nomination deal. It was like a 12-minute video that he did showing off all the nominations, all the awards. There's one new award this year as well. And what we're going to do this first, is go through all the awards, or all the nominations, except for the esports stuff. I'm sorry if you're an esports person. If this is the first time you're listening to us, thank you, by the way. One thing you should note is none of us here care about esports stuff. We're not esports people. Not saying that it's not interesting to watch that sometimes, just me personally,
I'll vote on whoever has the funniest name.
Yeah. Or we're going to skip them. But we're going to go in reverse order, so, Game Award, the actual, big award of Game of the Year will be last. So, let's start here. I don't know if you all have your, pages open. So, this is the actual, should note, our Game Awards will really depend on whether Cyberpunk comes out or not. If Cyberpunk comes out, it might be later than when we normally do them. We're still going to have written articles for all of us talking about our favorite games of the year that you can go check out on the site. If it doesn't come out, we may still do our podcast and everything around the same time, which is around Christmas week.
I found the best esports host.
What is that?
Yves Sjoks de Portere.
I would have thought it would be Ned Showmaker Shoe, which I assume is Brad Shoemaker's Asian cousin.
No, but come on. She's Eve J has got to be a shoe-in for funniest.
They can't just go with James Dash Patterson, right? Then or just...
Oh, God. I wonder if that nickname is self-assigned. Calm down, Flash.
It's not as cool as the other names that Jens pronounced way better than either one of us probably could.
Oh, good Lord. I was struggling with that.
So let's start with the best debut game, which is the best debut game created by a new indie studio. And the nominees are Carrion, which I know Randy has talked to you about a lot, Jens, Mortal Shell, Raji and Agent Impact, Epic that looks like, wow, I just said that right. Raji and Agent Epic that looks a lot like Prince of Persia, mixed with another game that I can't think of right this second, Roki, and then Phasmophobia, which has gotten a lot of play this year. So which one are you... Okay, so let's do this. Which one do you think you're going to vote for, and then which one do you think is going to win? Jens, what do you...
I'm going to abstain from this category because I have not played any of these games.
Neither have I. I would vote for Carry On because I've heard of that more than...
It's not a way to vote.
Why not?
I'm voting for Carry On because I have played it thanks to Game Pass.
You can't just vote on name recognition. That way lies madness.
I've also heard of Phasmophobia, but I don't like that because it's multiplayer focused. So
sure. Yeah. I've heard a lot of hype around Phasmophobia these last couple of weeks.
Phasmophobia along with Among Us has been the two kind of like games that kind of came out of nowhere and people liked that didn't get, some kind of like PS Plus, like Fall Guys, or something like that. So we'll see. I think Phasmophobia is going to wind up winning because of that recognition, but hopefully carries the day, for the lack of a better.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Content creator of the year would go to Alana Pierce for me because it's the only person that I actually watched on this whole list. And I know Valkyrie. Great. Yeah, Alana's awesome. So she just got junior wider position with Sony Santa Monica. So congrats to her.
I've only heard of her on this list also. So again, name recognition, but
in this case, is someone that I've actually watched her videos, so I can at least attest to the fact that I'm not just voting for her because it's a nice picture. Yeah,
she's been on Kind of Funny. Was with IGN for a long time, Funhouse, all that. All right, not a category that we're super big in, but best multiplayer.
I've played most of these.
Yeah, I've actually played 3 of these.
Animal Crossing New Horizons,
Fall Guys,
Among Us.
I played some Call of Duty.
Warzone?
Yeah, I did not play Warzone. Okay, sorry.
It's Warzone, the free-to-play.
All right, I've only played 3 of these.
So Animal Crossing New Horizons, Among Us. I played that with Anaya a few times. Call of Duty Warzone, Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockout, and Valorant was the game from Riot Games that got some big time on Twitch. You go ahead.
To me, Among Us is the phenomenon here, the big standout.
Oh, but Fall Guys could also win too.
Yeah, I'd say Fall Guys.
Both of those.
I would go on.
The multiplayer in Animal Crossing is not like standout enough.
That's the thing. I would for damn sure not say Animal Crossing. I think that was the worst part of that game.
I don't think you need to, Animal Crossing has other awards that it has a much better chance in. I feel like when you're talking about multiplayer, all the other 4 games are much more, you don't play those games if you're not playing multiplayer. Animal Crossing, you can definitely play that by yourself. Yeah.
We did.
So what are you all voting for, and what do you think is going to win? I think it's between Among Us and Fall Guys.
I voted for Fall Guys. I like that one more.
Don't discount the, Call of Duty Warzone being super popular.
I mean, I don't like Fall Guys, but I realize it's popular.
I'm going to vote for Fall Guys because, I like the idea of that game. I also want to give, Mediatonic I just like that whole eruption that it got for everything. Among Us feels more of a...
Also, isn't Among Us a 2-year-old game?
It's true, it's 2018.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is a 2-year-old game.
I would disqualify that to start.
Hey, they didn't disqualify.
I think it wasn't on mobile for 2 years. I think that's might be what it is. It's it was on PC for 2 years, but not necessarily mobile.
No. Yeah. And mobile, it launched on mobile 2018.
Okay.
It just got popular this year, but
yeah, that's weird that
out this year. I mean, it didn't come out on. It came out on Windows also in 2018. So
didn't Warzone come out last year?
Also?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So 2 games that should be disqualified, but because Jeff Keighley's lazy, isn't.
That's weird because he has that deadline of November, whatever it is. But then you're putting in games that came out years ago. That seems weird there.
Well, meanwhile, something like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order got basically nothing last year because it missed the deadline.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
At least it did get into 1 award this year, but.
Yeah. That's sports racing.
All right. So, yeah, I do think Among Us will wind up winning, but I voted for Fall Guys.
I'm exactly the other way. I think Fall Guys is going to win, but I voted for Among Us.
Best sports racing, Dirt 5, F1 2020, 2 Codemasters games, FIFA 21, NBA 2K21, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, which Marc reviewed and really enjoyed.
That'll win.
Okay.
And that should win, because that's actually new.
These are the ones not from 2020?
No, they are, but they're all iterative updates.
Oh, sure.
Except for Dirt 5.
Dirt 5, I mean...
I hear good things about FIFA.
It's also kind of a mediocre game, apparently, so...
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for Tony Hawk as well. I think Tony Hawk will win, too, just because a lot of people were excited for that game, and the fact that
it's nostalgia, but it's done really well, and they didn't fuck it up with that HD remaster they did 7 years ago. That's really nice.
It is good. So let's go to Best Sim or Strategy Game, which Crusader Kings 3 is apparently awesome. I haven't played it, but...
And Penner's built to all of us.
Well, it's on Game Pass, so if you have that, you can play it.
But only for PC, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's only for PC. And then Desperados 3, I've also heard this is good. I haven't played it. I've seen a lot of people talking about Gears Tactics. I can vouch that is really good and is also on console now. And Microsoft Flight Simulator is apparently awesome.
I would vote for that one because I don't.
And XCOM Chimera Squad, which Marc did play.
I think I'm gonna review it, but then I got really bored after the second mission, and I was like, "No, this is terrible."
Thank God it only cost $10. I would have said something. Yeah. I think Flight Simulator is going to win.
3. Yeah, but I expect Flight Simulator to win. Sorry, Sean, you're saying the same. You're saying the same.
Yeah, I think Flight Simulator is going to wind up winning. I don't think enough people would have played Gears Tactics at this point.
Well, Gears Tactics had the problem of it didn't launch in the it didn't launch earlier on the console, and then that's the biggest reason. And also, I heard that game gets kind of boring like the later you get into it.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote for Flight Simulator just because of it made a comeback and they did a really good job with it. All right, best family game: Animal Crossing's New Horizon, Crash Bandicoot 4: It's About Time, Fall Guys, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, Minecraft Dungeons, and Paper Mario: The Origami King. I feel like this is between Animal Crossing and like Fall Guys. I don't feel like there's been enough people play Mario Kart Live Home Circuit at this point.
I think Animal Crossing has this.
I think it has it, but I'd probably vote for Crash 4.
Yeah.
That's me not playing Crash 4. I just really didn't like Animal Crossing the more I played it.
I don't know. Animal Crossing is a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm going to vote for it just because.
I'm going to vote for that as well. It's a game that you can definitely play with your family and get them upset at you too. Just
objectively, we've seen from the cultural reaction to Animal Crossing that it has been the best family game.
Oh no, and it's been the game of you will not be able to separate Animal Crossing from 2020 and the pandemic that we're in. It is the game of the pandemic.
Yep.
So best fighting game, Grand Blue Fantasy versus Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, which I guess Ultimate did come out this year. Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition.
That came out 2 years ago, or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that came out. I don't know why it's like Jeff Keighley. Come on, man. One Punch Man, A Hero Nobody Knows, and forgive me here, Under Night in Birth, EXE,
Under Night
Late
in Birth,
CLR.
Well, the stupidest title goes to that one.
Those games are apparently good. People like them. I don't know.
Yeah, both that and Grand Blue. It's Arc System Works. You kind of know what to expect from them, and I hear they're both excellent. I could see this going to Grand Blue.
No, I could go to Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for Grand Blue, but I think Mortal Kombat's probably going to wind up winning.
The fact that One Punch Man is even nominated is kind of heartening. I didn't realize there was a good One Punch Man game now.
Yeah, apparently it's actually good. Better than the...
But if it's a fighting game that you don't really like fighting games.
It's not for me, but, I like the show One Punch Man, so, it's just good to know that it's not just some, crappy licensed thing, but actually good.
Yeah. And they should just renominate Dragon Ball Z.
I'm voting Grand Blue, and it's because of the character designs, let's face it.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, probably the toughest category for us is best role-playing.
It's not.
You got Final Fantasy. You guys' arguments before.
You got Final Fantasy VII Remake, Genshin Impact, which I liked a lot, but I just don't have time to play it. Persona 5 Royal, of course, you guys love that. Wasteland 3, which Marc never gave me his final thing on that. And Yakuza Like a Dragon, which we're enjoying right now. So, for me, it's Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think that's still my game of the year right now. I don't know about you guys.
I would say it's a great game, but it's not a great role-playing game.
You're still doing all the things that are role-playing.
Yeah, but I think the way that it's structured isn't really role-playing game-like. Especially near the end, I found that some of the sequences to be really annoying. And the fact that the game is 80% linear.
Just because it doesn't make you explore a lot doesn't make it not an RPG.
But there's also only 2 areas or 3 areas that have side quests, or let you
pretty
really.
Big. They're large.
I know, but RPGs don't have to have side quests. Yeah, we can go the Persona or Yakuza route and just explode with side quests, or you don't necessarily have them.
Yeah, but even past Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, but dude, we've got Genshin Impact in here, which is an action RPG, so we're in a pretty broad category.
Yeah, in Genshin Impact, it's basically like a
Breath of the Wild type.
Yeah, it's Breath of the Wild. You can just do whatever, and all that. I mean,
so my thing with Persona 5, I mean, I guess Persona 5 Royal, they're qualifying it here. I don't think we're going to let it qualify for our game.
We're
of the
not.
year.
No.
Yeah.
Because y'all are wrong.
I love that game, but I don't think just because it's not a all new game, and I don't think the new stuff is all that. I mean, I think it's lots of great quality of life improvements to this version of Persona 5. But as far as competing with Final Fantasy VII Remake or even Genshin Impact, which I'm told by people who are way into it is amazing, and Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is shaping up to be amazing, there's a lot of competition in this category.
Yeah. I definitely think it's Final Fantasies to lose, honestly. I don't see...
I mean, I'm voting Final Fantasy VII Remake because it's just the most impressive out of all of these. As far as...
I wonder how long it's going to take them. I wonder if they're going to even do it, if they're going to do any kind of update for that game, or they're just going to wait until Part 2 and then just smash it together and say, well, here's your update.
Well, I mean, Part 2 will probably come out in 2024, so they kind of have to do an update for right now.
Really? You think I don't think it's going to be that late. I seriously think by the time we hit sometime between next year and maybe 2022 at the latest, they'll have something.
They'll have a trailer, but they won't have the game. I mean, that's the thing.
I mean, unless these vaccinations just turn out terribly wrong, I don't know.
Have faith.
Yeah. Let's have faith.
It's just a few more months, man. It's the light at the end of time.
I mean, the fact that Final Fantasy 16 is supposed to come out next year, I think gives me some faith that maybe they can do it. Now they have assets to work with, so.
Sorry, Mark?
I said I'm voting for Persona 5 Royal because it's the best game.
Sure, but it's also a game that came out 2 years earlier.
Well,
and was great then.
So is Among Us. Like, you know.
They're including games. I mean, to be fair to Mark, they're including games that are.
Okay. Well, you do what you like.
Okay, so best action adventure game, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which Mark is enjoying right now. Ghost of Tsushima, which Jens was not the biggest fan of.
I liked it okay.
I thought it was fine. I mean, but yeah, go on.
I just didn't like the story very much.
Well, thankfully, we're not rating it on story here.
No, we're just as far as action adventure, it's a good Assassin's Creed-like.
That's true. I heard a lot of comparisons to that today.
Having more fun with Assassin's Creed than Tsushima.
I like that it's less ridiculously sprawling and overwhelming.
You won't like Valhalla at all.
Yeah, I already know that. Anyway, sorry we've interrupted Sean's.
Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, which Jens is enjoying right now, and Ori Will of the Wisps, which is a fantastic game. I'll have a gripe with that later. And Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which you can play on Game Pass right now thanks to the EA Play thing. And it's holdover from last year because it didn't make the cut last year. And of course, Last of Us Part 2, the game that everybody loves to hate now. So, what do you think, guys?
I kind of hated it when I first played it.
Well, everybody loved it.
Well, but now you can actually give it a shot where it won't destroy your PS5. So
I went up and down and up and down and up and down on it.
Of this list, I'd actually probably vote Star Wars.
I agree. It was snubbed last year because of timing, so it's good to see it on the list now.
The bummer is I know it won't win. I'm sure Last of Us Part 2 or maybe Spider-Man will win. And Spider-Man...
I think Last of Us may be overvalued as far as its chances of sweeping this category.
I hope so.
I think Ghost might win this one, honestly.
I think Ghost is...
I found Ghost is really boring after a while.
Agreed.
I like Star Wars. I mean, it's Dark Souls-like, but it's actually fun.
Yeah.
And I like going on the different planets. It actually had a really good art style and just good combat overall.
And it's got that Metroidvania kind of aspect where new areas become accessible as you unlock new abilities and all that stuff.
You get gear and that opens. Oh, you got the zip lines and things, so now you can screw around on those and stuff like that. Yeah.
I completely agree. I think of this batch, the Jedi Fallen Order is the standout. I mean, Ori, I could see an argument made for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which will absolutely not win. But I could see somebody making a case for it actually being the best.
I'm voting for it because it's the one game here that I've played and really, really enjoyed, and I need to actually go give it more of a shot on the Series X now that I can really freaking enjoy how that's going to look. And No, go ahead.
I do actually like Valhalla quite a bit, but it's just too much of kind of the same thing as the past two games. Although they are actually course correcting in this one to make it more like the old Assassin's Creed games, which is nice.
Well, that's good. That's a good positive
It's still a big sprawling mess, of a game world where you can lose 100 hours into it easily.
I think it just really depends on if these nominations are being made because basically everybody just voted right now out of the gaming public. I think watch out for Spider-Man as well, because that's fresh in everybody's head. Because that was the problem last year. Was it Outer Worlds and Outer Wilds got a lot because people had just played those when they did the voting. Mm-hmm. So we'll see, depending on when they did the voting here.
Right, it's like the Academy Awards. If a movie comes out in January or February, it's not going to have a big a chance to be considered. Yeah, so right. Is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order that kind of release, right?
Exactly.
Or it's just too far in the past.
Oh, but I think there's a lot of people that really did enjoy that game, like Marc was saying. We'll see if it gets enough love. And speaking of, man, this is going to be a really hard category here. Best action game. Some 5 fantastic games. 2 of them are up for Game of the Year, for the Game Awards.
One shouldn't be, though.
Yeah, one shouldn't be. And in fact, another one that's here, you could argue, if more people had access to VR, could very well have been on that list instead. So Doom Eternal and Hades are 2 of the Game of the Year nods. And I should note that from the previous, Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us Part 2 are also up for Game of the Year. And then Half-Life Alyx Neo 2, which we know Jens is enjoying, and the Streets of Rage 4, which is absolutely fantastic. Love that game. This is tough because Hades is a fantastic game. Streets of Rage is a fantastic game. Doom Eternal is pretty good.
Hades is going to win.
Hades
I hope so. I hope Hades does win. I would say Half-Life Alyx. I really wish I could play that. It sucks that Marc barely couldn't. Yeah,
you actually can kind of hack it together to run a kind of normal PC, but I wouldn't.
I know so many people who have talked about Hades being not just like a top game of the year for them this year, but just of like all time.
All time, yeah.
That it seems to be a groundswell of support for it. So I'd be honestly surprised if Hades doesn't crush this.
Yeah, and I hope so.
No.
No, I mean Doom Eternal belongs in the best action game category, but I feel like, yeah, with as much as everybody has absolutely adored and loved on Hades, if it doesn't win this, I don't know what people are thinking. I think it's a landslide. Hades is going to win this. So innovation and accessibility, which is the new award, this year, which is probably about time that they had this award. They should have had it a while ago, but it's good that we're, heading into this, that we should award people for trying to be accessible to the most people you can. All of these, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Grounded, Hyperdot, Last of Us Part 2, and Watch Dogs Legion are the 5 games. I heard Last of Us Part 2 has some excellent accessibility options. Yeah.
It has a really cool colorblind mode that makes the game, really easy to play through.
I've seen the Grounded ones as well. They're pretty good. I don't know if you saw any of the Watch Dogs Legion or Assassin's Creed stuff.
No.
I'm just going to go ahead and put Last of Us Part 2 there. I think that'll probably win as well.
It's pretty comprehensive as far as giving you both interface options, but also gameplay things like make enemies less aggressive or not flank you and stuff for people who have anxiety.
Which that's something a lot of people don't think about. So that's pretty cool. Best VR AR game. Unlike last year where I could actually comment on some of these, I can't comment on this at all. But Dreams.
Go pick up Star Wars VR, man. Come on. The Star Wars Squadrons.
I already put up enough money. I don't want to spend any more. So, Dreams, Half-Life Alyx, Marvel's Iron Man VR, Star Wars Squadrons, and Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is actually pretty good, supposedly. I think this is Half-Life Alyx's, thing. This is the thing they should win.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about, this is not just a standout for VR this year. This is a standout for how you can do games in VR, period.
I'm voting Squadrons.
I'm going to vote for Half-Life Alyx. Is that?
Yeah, you're running Squadrons though, just because you like that. I mean,
it's true. You're right. You can make an argument that the VR in Alyx is, I'm not familiar with it. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I haven't played any of these in VR either.
I think we can skip the best community support, unless we want to just give it to something.
I'd probably say No Man's Sky.
Yeah, as much as I grudgingly hate to vote for anything No Man's Sky related.
I don't think it'll win, but I think that's going to go to,
Apex Legends.
Apex Legends, probably.
Yeah, I agree.
Or maybe Fall Guys.
Yeah, Fall Guys has some updates. That's true.
Best mobile game. Oof. I want to vote for Genshin Impact just because it came out this year.
Apparently it runs better on mobile than on the PS4.
Go figure.
That doesn't surprise me necessarily.
I haven't played, but I'd actually probably vote Among Us for this one.
Really? I've just been playing that on desktop. Is it a good mobile game?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it runs pretty well on mobile. Yeah, I played it with an eye on mobile.
Yeah, the fact that it's like more, you can just kind of jump in, like, you could be out somewhere and just play it with a friend or something, or, group of friends. It's probably interesting.
Best indie. I feel like we know which one's going to win, but let's do it. Carry On, which we talked about earlier, Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockout, Hades, Spelunky 2, and Spiritfarer. I think Spiritfarer is in another category that maybe has a better chance to win. That game is fantastic. It has a great art style, and I just love the story in that game. Spelunky is more awesome Spelunky, so you can't go wrong there. But if Hades is gonna be getting Game of the Year nods, I think it has to win its category, right?
Yeah, I mean, that would only make sense, unless you say, well, we're already giving a Game of the Year, so let's give Best Indie to something else. I could see that theoretically happening if they want to spread the love around. But yeah, logically, what you're saying makes sense. It would have to win its category.
I feel kind of bad for Spelunky, too, because it really felt like that kind of came and went.
I hear it's amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Like, people that got to play it, like, it's really great. It's even harder than the first game, but that's the thing, is like, it came and went.
I feel like it came out like right around when Hades came out.
Uh-huh.
And that did that game no damn favor, because it's
no, I think it came out like a week before, and yeah.
Hades was September 17th, and Spelunky 2 was September 15th.
Oh boy, yeah. Forget about it.
Yeah.
And best ongoing game, which this is where you can nominate things that have been out for a while. I want to vote No Man's Sky, just because, man, he's put a lot of effort into that.
It's the only game on that list I care about, in the slightest.
What do you guys think is going to win that's not No Man's Sky?
Apex, because people are idiots.
I'm going to vote Apex.
Apex. Or no, Warzone. This will be the Warzone win.
Okay, well, I just want to make whatever has the best chance of defeating No Man's Sky, I want to vote.
I think it'll definitely be had Destiny got the Beyond Light expansion like a month ago, I'd say maybe Destiny 2 had a shot. Because I've seen a lot of people are playing that now that it got the expansion and it's on PS5 and Series X. But, yeah. So Games for Impact, which is with a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. I've played 4 of these. I haven't played the Darkest of Times.
I've only played 1, and I didn't really like it that much.
Yeah, Tell Me Why was good. Another Don't Nod game. I love Spiritfarer. Kentucky Route Zero is having that whole thing done now is really good because it's one of the best like narrative games. And If Found is really good as well. So I'm voting for Spiritfarer because it's the game I like the most out of all these.
I'm voting for Kentucky Route Zero, even though I'm not a huge fan, but I just couldn't get into it. Like, I like the idea of it, but something about it just really put me off.
Wait, but you're voting for it?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's the one game you played.
Yeah, and you can't name a dog Homer, and I find that funny.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's more in my genre than these others. I tried playing Spiritfarer, and the gameplay was too boring for me.
I do like the art style in Kentucky Route Zero. Like that, I love the art style. Nice.
Yeah,
I just like generally the Lynchian feel, the small town Americana feel of it. As somebody, I like Americana type media anyway, so it fits right into my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, do we think Kentucky Route Zero is going to actually win?
I mean, I think Spiritfarer has a shot.
I would say either Kentucky Route or Spiritfarer will probably win.
Yeah. I feel like Tell Me Why it came out and like nobody played it.
Yeah. I hadn't heard of the other 3 games in that list.
And Best Performance, which is basically the best individual voice acting, motion control, and performance capture. I feel it's going to be... I think Ashley Johnson is going to win, but I'm personally voting for Miles Morales because I love the fact that we got Latino representation in a game. We don't get that very often.
Yeah, this is I saw on Twitter, this is the no white people category.
What do you mean? Ashley Johnson isn't white? Laura Bailey isn't white?
Sorry, no white guy. Or no white male.
Well.
Oh, that's fine. You have white males win all the time. So.
No, yeah, I know. That was funny. Like, it's like, you ever heard of like Nolan North or Troy Baker? Like,
so, Hades, not a man? I haven't played the game.
No, he is, but it's the Logan Cunningham.
Logan Cunningham is black?
An African-American guy.
Yeah, he's black, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I would not know such things.
Because he's been the voice actor in all their games.
Okay.
Like he was the narrator in Bastion, and I think he was the narrator, or the sword in their other game they did, and he was also
Transistor.
I'm honestly, for myself, I'm torn between Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey. Both of them are so good in that game.
I'd probably give it up to Laura Bailey because it's a new character.
I feel like Ashley Johnson's going to win because there's going to be so much hatred.
There's an anti-Laura.
Yeah, the Abby. Or maybe everybody votes for Laura Bailey just to stick it to everybody. I don't know.
That's what I'm doing. I'm voting for Laura Bailey.
I mean, I'm voting for Logan Cunningham just because he did a really good job. Like, I think the voice acting in all of Hades is really good, but he has a lot of different range for that character.
All right, best audio design, recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design: Doom Eternal, Half-Life Alyx, Ghost of Tsushima, Resident Evil 3, Last of Us Part 2.
I would say Ghost of Tsushima.
It is really good. The audio design is fantastic.
Yeah,
Last of Us Part 2 has really good audio design too.
Mm-hmm.
I like the sound when you're swinging a sword and cutting people in Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, you're right about Last of Us Part 2. Last of Us was way up there, and it's probably going to win, which is why I'm voting against it.
That's how it works.
Yep.
That's how it works, exactly. That's funny that, like this is the only category Resident Evil 3 is in, how far that game has fallen.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad for it, but I mean, it was too similar to Resident Evil 2.
Also, it's just, there's too many games that came out this year that were really great. So I'm gonna vote for Last of Us Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say Doom Eternal has some really good, audio design as well. And also has a really fantastic, like, metal soundtrack, that's
but
in best score.
Out into its own category.
Which it should be. I'm glad that it is. So best score and music, which is basically outstanding music, inclusive score, an original song, and a licensed soundtrack. So you got Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades, Ori, Will and the Wisp, and Last of Us Part 2, all 5 great soundtracks. I'm partial to Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's the kind of music that I love to listen to, and when I think about video game music, that's the kind of music I think about. So
I'm so torn, man. I'm so torn. Because Hades is a great score. And all of Darren Korb's scores for Supergiant are really good. And Hades is no exception. And Ori and the Will of the Wisps is in every way, for me, a step up from the first one. And that was a great score.
Yeah. Last of Us Part 2 had a good score, too.
Yeah. So, Last of Us Part 2, I'm not a Gustavo Santaolalla fan. I don't like he's got his little guitar plugins. It's fine. It's not interesting music to me. It's, I guess, moody, but I feel like you could do a lot more of that score. I think maybe the Mac Quayle stuff is actually a little more interesting than just the guitar parts of that score. But, it's fine for what it is. People, if you like Santaolalla's film scores, Babel and all that stuff, it's in that vein. I'm not a huge fan of the music for Last of Us. Never have been. Final Fantasy VII is obviously my wheelhouse. That 8 CD album that Square put out is one of my favorite albums of the year. Way up there. Obviously Mick Gordon's Doom Eternal stuff crushes. If you like the hard rock electric guitar stuff, it is amazing at that. Mm-hmm. These are all, I would hate to, obviously the selfish part of me just wants to pick Final Fantasy just cause it's beautiful reorchestration of a thing I've loved for a big chunk of my life. But I don't know if that would be fair to Hades and Ori. I feel it's between those 3. Marc,
I would pick Hades, but I would probably say Final Fantasy VII is probably a pretty close second.
Yeah. I think Final Fantasy VII is going to win.
Oh, I think it's going to win too, actually, too. I mean, I don't have the reverence of Final Fantasy music that you have, generally speaking, but I thought it was a very good upgrade to the original songs that were reminiscent of the original stuff.
It does a lot of the motifs. It reimagines them. It kind of does mashups of different tracks that were never mashed up before. There's like an hour of new music at least, too. Like there's all that stuff for the ghost encounters.
Well, it's also not that MIDI shit that was in the original Final Fantasy VII game.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's all like produced to the hilt.
The only problem with Final Fantasy VII Remake is it doesn't have my 2 favorite Final Fantasy VII songs in it.
Which ones would those be?
Cosmo Canyon.
Okay. Which that comes later, yeah.
Right, yeah, okay. So you're just talking about future stuff. I thought you meant that things were being omitted.
No, and Sid's theme.
Nothing's been omitted from the stuff they've adapted so far. They've greatly expanded.
I mean, you definitely got to have Cosmo Canyon if you already had him in the game, so.
Well, I just think Ori and the Will of the Wisps has so much new music. Like, again, I love Final Fantasy VII, but there is a lot of it. It's a, redo of something that I already know and love. I've got to give it to Ori just because I think it's such a step up from the first score. Like the first score had filler music. You got both of those have huge albums where it's like, here's 3 hours of music to throw at you. It's difficult to get through in a listen. And the first Ori had plenty of filler, where it was just kind of ambient music as you were exploring and stuff. And Will of the Wisps has basically no filler. Like, there's always something interesting going on melodically. It's kind of amazing how much variance there is to the score and how much it surprises you at every turn. So I'm voting Ori.
Okay, well, we each pick different stuff then.
The best score of the year is not on this list because that's New Sakura Wars by Koei Tanaka.
No.
Well, that'll be interesting. Well, so then we go to Best Art Direction, which has quite a few of the same games in it. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Ori Will of the Wisps, and Last of Us Part 2. I went with Ori here. It absolutely looks beautiful, and then when you put it on the new systems, oh my god, it blows out of the water. Hades looks great too. It has great.
I actually disagree. I think Hades' art style is too busy in certain spots.
Too busy? Okay.
Like the third binome is this really weird forest area that's really hard to pick out certain objects in. So I actually picked Final Fantasy VII.
I also picked Final Fantasy VII. Thank you. Just because of how they took the things that were in our imagination and made them real in the most thorough and well.
I mean, it has its ugly spots where they focus on things too long.
Tifa isn't like busty enough to fall over like she does in the original game.
Let's not go there.
Yeah.
Tifa has, if you're looking at her as a realistic character, she is.
I mean, she's also wearing a sports bra. I mean,
I would actually say that Tsushima though is really close.
Yeah.
I mean, the art direction in Tsushima is the biggest thing about it that recommends it the most. Like how beautiful
you have that
game
cinematic camera too.
The pleasure of Ghost of Tsushima is looking at it. Absolutely. So I could see Ghost of
Part 2
Tsushima
looks
winning
pretty
this
good
actually,
too.
just because that's the standout thing about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sean.
I was gonna say Last of Us Part 2 looks pretty good. I mean,
that's a great looking game.
These are 5 games you can't really like.
Yeah, I thought Last of Us looked good, but it looked too similar to the last game.
I mean, they're continuing from the last game. I mean, what do you want them to do?
Anime art style.
Best narrative. This is now, thankfully, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim got something.
I'm
best
just
narrative.
going to say this. Any votes in this category not cast for 13 Sentinels are illegal because 13 Sentinels deserves to win this category by a lot.
And only 3 people have played it, so that's why it's not going to win.
I'm glad that it got nominated. That's cool that it got nominated because I didn't think it would get anything.
If 13 Sentinels was not nominated for Best Narrative for these awards, I think I would be burning wherever Jeff Keighley's headquarters are, I'd be burning it down. Because that is by far the best narrative I've ever experienced in the game.
I need to play this game.
I mean, it is so... maybe that is hyperbolic, but it is way, way, way up there. And the way that it is presented and the way that it gradually reveals itself over the course of those 13 different storylines that you're swapping between is amazing.
Jens, you're making me sit there and want to think about spending more money. I don't want to do that.
As soon as there's
now.
a sale where it's like $30.
Oh, on Black Friday on game, but it's damn it, it's not digital. It's physical only.
There's no digital release of it?
No, there is.
No, GameStop is probably their sales probably physical only, knowing them. Mm-hmm. And I'm scared to put discs in systems right now.
Right. I mean, that was one of the first. I installed that game immediately. I wanted to see what it looked like on the PS5 and whether it was doing the pixel scaling correctly, and indeed it was correct. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, so 30 Sentinels. Give us the rest of the list, Sean.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, which some people were going to argue that it's a terrible narrative. Ghost of Tsushima. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I would actually vote for that one. I actually thought, like, compared to most Final Fantasy games, I could actually follow it.
That's something to be said. Like, I mean,
it's Final Fantasy 8 or 10. I was like, oh man.
I mean, they did have some, Nomura shit in there, that made it kind of complicated towards the end. But for the most part, you're right. It was not the hardest thing to follow until you got to that
until the very end, I would say. Yeah. And then it gets really fucked up, but.
What can you expect? He couldn't help himself. Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and Last of Us Part 2.
I really like Hades as a story, but I hate how they unfurl it because you have to keep doing the runs to get new dialogue. And it's like, to get the new dialogue to talk to Hades, it's like 15 runs. And it's like, I don't want to do that. I just rather skip ahead a little. Like, it's cool.
Well, I mean, do you feel like it's worth it for that to
Well, I mean, it is a roguelike. It's a, the roguelike nature, but I think ultimately it kind of hampers it to an extent, because I don't want to have to run through this thing 20 times to get just the new heart for Hades. Or,
From what I've heard about Hades, what's interesting about it is the way that it integrates the roguelike gameplay into the narrative, where it becomes an essential part of the narrative, is the roguelike structure.
Well, I mean, they literally have Sisyphus in the game. He's pushing a boulder, and that's how I felt about halfway through.
Well, I mean, I've always said I do not like Sisyphean gameplay generally.
Yeah.
But I could see Hades taking it just because it's such an interesting mesh, I guess, of narrative and gameplay. But I don't know, who do we think? The Last of Us Part 2 might get a strong enough, just kind of a backlash vote against the backlash that it might win this. Otherwise, I think it'll be Final Fantasy. What about the
backlash against the backlash against the backlash?
Well,
I don't know. I feel like you're gonna get Last of Us Part 2 is gonna win.
Think so?
I hope not.
I think so. Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that don't like what they did with Final Fantasy VII Remake at the end that might make it to where they're gonna be like, okay, no.
I guess I'm one of the few crazy people who liked it.
I thought it was cool, actually. It was different. I mean...
Oh, no, I did too. I liked it. I'm just saying,
I'll be really curious to see with episode 2.
Well, we'll see eventually whenever these things actually get announced that he shows the percentages. Yeah. So we'll see them eventually, how close they were with each other.
I haven't played it, but I mean, I guess 13 Sentinels want to be fine for good, because I know it's a really weird story, but
yeah,
I don't think Tsushima should win. That's a very pedestrian story.
That's putting it very kindly.
Like, hey, your uncle's a prick. It's like, okay, like, sure.
It's not just that. It's just the fact that it's complete nonsense.
I'm surprised it got nominated compared to other things, but
the way that it mashes things from different time periods that don't belong together. It's the bizarre honor fixation, the way that there's basically no pragmatism. Believe me, there was pragmatism in ancient Japan. Like, the honor thing, to a degree, for a lord is for show. It's a reputational thing. So, like, the whole conflict with your father, to me, was kind of ridiculous, just because the father was a ridiculous character.
Uncle,
sorry. Right, your father's dead.
Yeah.
Spoilers, jeez. No, I'm joking.
The first 5 minutes spoilers.
Yeah, no, this is part of your backstory. But yeah, I did not like the story. I thought it was silly. And I don't understand why it's nominated in this category. I think there's a lot of good reasons why this game is showing up a lot in these awards, but I don't think narrative is one of them.
That'd be like if Days Gone had best narrative, and it's like
exactly.
No.
It's Days Gone level storytelling.
Wow, that's bad. That's not good.
Anyway, I don't know. My understanding is that the Japanese dub is amazing and cleans up a lot of the weird cultural stuff. Like, it actually changes the haikus, which did not exist in the time in which the game is set, to, something more period appropriate.
That's weird that they would... Sucker Punch is not a Japanese developer. How do you get the Japanese more right than the English
Well, I guess
dub?
whoever they got to do the translation, was somebody who knew their stuff and fixed things.
Maybe, yeah. Well, it looks like it is. So, best game direction...
Wait. Have we already talked about who you think? You think Last of Us, right?
I think Last of Us is going to win.
Okay. Sorry. Best game direction.
All right. I voted for Hades, by the way, for that. Best game direction is Final Fantasy VII Remake, of Tsushima, Hades, Last of Us Part 2, and Half-Life Alyx is the only change from the previous one. This is, I think, difficult. I mean, like, Final Fantasy VII decided we're going to keep some of the turn-based stuff, but we're also going to make this really fun action game tinge to it that I feel like now I want more Final Fantasies to have this battle system where it's like a blend of both. We talked about how they did the story. They did a reimagining of it, and they did it aside from the side quests, they did a really good job with it.
I think 7 will win, but I vote for Hades. I voted for Hades
too. I really love the way, blending the roguelike into telling a story, and then also, I'm not the biggest roguelike person, but it made me want to keep playing this game.
See, I am. I'm a bigger fan than either of you guys are. And I have issues with how they do the story, but the actual gameplay of Hades is really good.
Yeah.
Especially once you start unlocking all the different weapons and the different aspects of them, and getting different see, like, how the god favors interact with something, like what you can do. It's like really, it's all really fun. Or at least most of the time.
Final Fantasy VII for me here.
It's not Last of Us 2?
You didn't love the game direction Last of Us 2, alright.
Well, I mean, not more than Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII.
I mean, 7
Again,
is like
I just think they made so many smart choices in the adaptation that I can look at and appreciate.
See, Hades is number 1 for me, but 7 Remake is actually a very close second.
Whereas Last of Us Part 2 makes choices where I might argue with Neil Druckmann about, well, I would have done that different, which is a feeling I didn't really get with Final Fantasy VII.
You would have actually had different gameplay choices as opposed to...
But to be fair, Final Fantasy VII, you kind of already know where it was supposed to go.
Yeah, you have expectations and they are met.
Yeah.
No, you have expectations and they are like damn well exceeded. Like,
yes, that's true.
So Game of the Year, which is recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. That means it's the best, period. Now, I think to be fair, I think there is a difference between Game of the Year, like when you look at it from other perspectives, right? Like, I think you could make the argument that Animal Crossing is a Game of the Year that which we live in right now with what was going on around us. You could definitely say that.
It's got a good shot at winning this.
Yeah, definitely think that. I think it depends on how much you weigh that heavily, but I think out of an enjoyment factor, it's not necessarily an enjoyment factor for everyone, right? Is it something that stays with everyone all the time? For some people it does. For some others it does not. And I feel like, and for you guys, both of you guys, it didn't. So that's interesting to see. I think we went through this already, but Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing, New Horizons, and Last of Us Part 2 are the ones that are nominated. I feel like Doom Eternal is just really a weird selection here. I don't know, Ori for me feels more appropriate. Half-Life Alyx feels more appropriate. Like, I don't know.
I haven't played it, but I'd rather have like that 13 Sentinels game be on that list than...
Well, you know that is my choice for Game of the Year, so I would absolutely substitute that over Doom Eternal.
Yeah, it's just not enough people played it at that point.
Yeah, I know. We're stuck with what we have. I mean, it's popular opinion. What can you...
Yeah. I mean, at least you got the one indie game, which that seems to be the trend. For the most part, is you get the one indie game. Had like Celeste, before. I'm voting for Final Fantasy Remake because it's the game that I enjoyed the most this year. It's the game that I got the most out of this year. It's the game that, like, I had so many expectations coming in and it met them in every way possible. I think about sometimes if I want to go back to that game, I think about, God, can they make part 2 come fast? And Hades makes me think that too. Like, if it wasn't for I really need to be playing things on these new consoles and whatever, I would be pulling out my Switch and playing more Hades. Doom Eternal is a good game. I'm not going to say, I've gotten to play because of Game Pass and everything and the Bethesda purchase, but it's good for what it does. It's fantastic at what it does. When I think of like what all these other games do, I don't know, it just feels weird to me, but,
I kind of view Doom Eternal and Last of Us 2 as kind of the same type of game. That new story and maybe like a few changed mechanics, but basically the same game as the predecessor.
Yeah, but at least they took more chances in the Last of Us 2 story.
Yeah, but not the gameplay. That's my biggest issue with that game, is it just plays way too similar to the first one.
I enjoy the gameplay improvements in that game.
What were the improvements?
Well, let's see.
I'm not trying to be snide when they ask. I got pretty far in that game, and I'm just like this.
Okay, well, you do know that the addition of dogs, the focus on more human enemies, leveraging the infected to turn on or turn situations to your advantage by turning them against those human enemies,
and also making you think about like how you feel when you're killing these people.
Well, the emotional aspect, but just generally, I feel this game gets the kind of Rambo, or actually the original First Blood feeling of just being in the wilderness, setting traps, trying to wait for an ambush and deal with other people, in a kind of a stealthy, murder environment, more so than the first game, where that really didn't kind of happen until the third act, I feel. And there were a lot of turret sequences, and there was a lot of, I don't know, I just feel like generally the gameplay was a lot more consistent, a lot slicker in part 2. I don't know if I'm rambling here, but
No, I mean, I guess maybe, but I just thought it was very similar to the first game. So, like, I think like the second game you have like flashbang grenades, and it's about like that was like, oh, here's the one new weapon.
and the mechanics are pretty similar. I think my biggest frustration with the gameplay was that, you know, you're halfway through grinding your upgrades and doing collectibles and, you know, fiddling with your guns and all that stuff, and then suddenly you don't get to play that character until, again, for, you know, however many more chapters.
Yeah.
I found the character, if you're giving me, like, character progression where I'm trying to, like, maximize something or fill up or like, a bunch of stats or upgrade, fill up an upgrade tree.
Yeah, unlocking the upgrade trees. That's.
And then suddenly you take it away from me and say, no, now you play this character who starts from square one with a bunch of other stuff that's not as cool. And then eventually you get to see those characters turn on each other in a way that's going to make you horribly uncomfortable. And it's almost like it's leveraging the gameplay mechanics against you, which is kind of clever. I mean, emotionally, it's clever from an emotional standpoint and from a storytelling standpoint, but anti-intuitive from a gameplay standpoint. Anyway, I definitely think they're different games as far as the gameplay is concerned. I felt the scenario design is quite different.
Right.
Sean, I don't know, where do you stand?
Well, I already said, Final Fantasy VII is hitting my vote.
Okay.
Yeah, like
on the Last of Us Part 1 versus Last of Us Part 2.
Okay, because you're making a sequel, I don't think that you need to, always doesn't need to innovate and do a ton. I feel like you knew what you were gonna get. Like, part of Last of Us is more about the emotional engagement, the story, like what they did there, and most of it was gonna feel like, okay, you're playing Last of Us, but is the story gonna be even better? That's what I think most people are coming into that game for, you know? I mean, that's what I think about when I think about Last of Us. That's what sticks with you, not necessarily the gameplay from that game.
I guess it's kind of like complaining about a Yakuza sequel. Oh, it's set in Kamurocho again. Oh, you're beating up dudes again.
That's what's refreshing about Like a Dragon. Instead, it's not.
True, yes. Them actually changing up the systems. But, you know, for most of that series, it became about, well, it's like a soap opera and you want to see the next chapter.
Right.
Yeah, but the problem is the chapter lasts 40 hours.
Chapter feels really long.
You look at every Yakuza game like it's a season of television, essentially.
Like I didn't even finish Kiwami 2 because I just got so bored by the basic gameplay loop.
Well, I think the Kiwami games, all the games that are based on the Yakuza 0 system, I think are kind of flawed. They're a little samey and inherently flawed. I like I like the mainline games in that series. I think more so. Anyway,
what?
I vote for Final Fantasy 7.
Yep.
Wow, we're all gonna vote for Final Fantasy 7.
The only two things I would say is I think Hades would have would be a good second, and
well, who do you think? Does Last of Us? We think that's what's gonna win?
No.
What do you think is gonna win?
I think either Final Fantasy 7 or Animal Crossing.
I think Hades has a shot, but Animal Crossing's a favorite. Animal Crossing's a favorite.
Yeah, I think it depends on how you think of Game of the Year, and I don't know that Animal Crossing delivers the best experience. Right, but in the year that we've been in, when you think about this year, when I think about video games, like Animal Crossing is definitely that game that makes you go, shit, we really did go through this.
Gave people a sense of belonging and normalcy and calm.
See, it gave other people that, but to me and you, it didn't do shit.
Oh, I do not like Animal. I've come to the conclusion that I should never buy another Animal Crossing because it's just folly. But for people for whom it clicks, that game was a marvelous thing, apparently.
Yeah, I think you went to my island and one of your coworkers' islands. That's about it. Mm-hmm. I went to one other person's island and then yours, and that was about it. And I'm like, no, don't see the appeal.
Well, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people. It's funny, I'm in various book clubs, and one of my book club discords that I'm in has a gaming channel, and all they talk about is Animal Crossing and planning to hang out in Animal.
Yeah.
Books.
Gary Wood has a podcast that's basically based in what he's doing in Animal Crossing, and then he brings people into his Animal Crossing. I mean, there's several people that do that.
Yeah, but he does that because of COVID. It's not like the game. The gameplay isn't good. It's a social aspect.
Well, I mean good.
But that's part of that game. Is the social aspect.
I would just load up MIRC and join a chat room. Or join Second Life. Remember that?
God, I don't. Please don't. I had to do a class based on that freaking game thing. Do not remind me of that terrible second. But yeah, we're gonna skip the esports categories. But yeah, that's it. Like that's all your awards. That is a lot of freaking awards to go through. If you listen to that whole hour, appreciate it.
Well, we'll definitely need chapter markers.
Well, at least they'll be easy to do.
Yep.
So yeah, here we go. If you care about our thoughts on the Xbox Series, the reason why I did it second as well is because Xbox Series X has already been out for an entire week. So by the time you're listening to this, if you really wanted to hear people reviewing that game, you probably, or reviewing the system, or talking about the system, you probably already heard people do that. So I figured let's go with the freshest thing first, and then if people really wanted to hear us talk about Series X, they can just skip to it.
Plus, it's pretty straightforward. Like, there's not that much to talk about.
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot. That's the difference between Series X and PS5 is because, for the most part, we talked about the games last week. We'll have more to say about them, and then just what this system looks like. So, like, I guess just explain, so did you do the whole waiting by the door and all that, Jens, or?
It's funny, I was not present, at time of delivery. I came down and my wife told me you have a package. And that was it. So I have no idea. Okay. I was not like super anxious about it. It was not being shipped by Target, so it was actually in a proper box, to protect it from the elements and from prying eyes. So, I wasn't really worried.
I saw some story today on Twitter about some guy who was following his Xbox delivery on Amazon, and within like 10 stops, it mysteriously got lost or damaged, so they couldn't deliver it.
Wow.
And like Amazon is refunding the guy's money, and the guy was like, "I don't want the fucking money. I want the driver. You know, he obviously stole it or whatever."
Obviously. Well, it sounds like shenanigans. At least you didn't miss out financially. That would be terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't really too worried about it. It came early, like while I was at work. You know, I'm working from home. So it came kind of early in the workday, like around 1 p.m. So I was able to like use my lunch break to set it up and, just kind of start a giant queue of installs, while I was working. So that, by the time I was done, you know, I could at least boot up, Yakuza 7 and check out with it. And that's pretty much all I really did is I, installed about a terabyte worth of, I should say, I bought the ridiculously expensive Seagate SSD expansion.
Oh, why?
Well, because I'm an idiot and because I like to just slot the thing in and then just have 2 gigabytes and not have to worry about moving things or...
And you had the money to do it. Like, why not? Like,
I just didn't want to have to worry about space. And it's hilarious because on my PS5, my PS5's already full. My hard drive on the PS5.
Well, it's got 200 gigs less, almost. Well, 150 gigs or whatever.
But that's what I was going to say. Like, if there was some $300 M.2 drive for your PS2 or PS5, would you buy it?
Sure.
Exactly. Like,
yeah. So, I just wanted the convenience of having a unified set of SSD, or at least what the system, and this is one good thing about it, which is that the system does recognize it as basically a unified set of storage. So you don't have to worry about moving things ever, at least on those 2 gigs. And
that's been a thing since, like, when they updated the UI, pretty early on in the whole Xbox One cycle is just, any storage drive that you have connected, it counts as all together, and so you actually know what your storage is, which is nice.
Right, but in this case, it doesn't even care where it is as far as performance, right? So,
right.
That's kind of the one benefit to it. I had an external drive I was using before on the One X, and that worked pretty well, but I did end up kind of shuffling files around a lot. You know, I actually want to play this, let's move it from external to internal, was kind of a regular thing for me. So it seemed like a sensible expansion. Actually, I feel like I should have probably expanded. Marc, if I had to choose between expanding my PlayStation storage and expanding my Xbox storage, maybe I should have expanded my PlayStation storage because the PlayStation now looks like a more attractive system for even multi-platform games after having played Call of Duty Cold War and seeing all the neat stuff that Call of Duty Cold War does with the controller.
You'll be back. I knew you'd be back.
Giving each weapon a unique feel. That is the thing about and I don't want to shit on the Xbox because I have a lot of positive thoughts on the new Xbox. I think it's pretty great. But the controller really is boring. It feels so it feels so old fashioned relative to what we've been living with the past week.
Well, they added an extra button and changed the D-pad and that was about it.
I love the new D-pad though.
The D-pad's good.
And I love that share button because I'm, as somebody that I will say this as somebody that reviews games. I always loved the fact that the Switch, you press one button and it immediately takes the picture, and I don't have to wait for it to do this and wait for it to do that. And I hated doing it on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4.
Well,
I love the fact that you just press a button and it automatically just,
The one thing I haven't figured out yet, maybe you can help me with this, is if I want to record a clip, it asks you to kind of hold that record button.
Yeah, you just hold it down.
I hold it down for a few seconds, and then it says clip ready, and then it's uploading, and it's like 30 seconds or something. And it's like, no, I want the last 30 minutes, or I want to be able to.
You have to change if you do it 4K, it only lets you do the last 30 seconds.
Oh wow!
If you do it in other like 1080p or whatever, you can do longer.
Okay, so there are settings.
It doesn't let you stream like the PS4, so you can't stream.
Oh.
And 5. I don't know if the 5 does that or not, but which is weird. I wonder if that's something. I know they took Mixer out, which that was a thing, obviously, but I don't know if they're gonna put that in at some point. But
I do like the dedicated. But to be fair, PlayStation also has a dedicated share button. It just then takes you to a sub menu of 3 different options. But it does at least remember, okay, at the point that I press the button, that's the screenshot I should be grabbing. I'm not going to grab the screenshot from a few seconds later while I'm in the menu.
The PS5 has that really nice, how far back do you want to have a clip?
Oh, I love the clip editing feature on PS5. It's been extremely useful. Yeah. So, they could iterate on that with the Xbox. But I do like that there's a dedicated button. That's a good addition. I've synced my Elite controller to that thing, so I've been using the Elite controller because I just like the feel of it better. I think it's a good controller, but it still feels a bit like a toy to me. It doesn't quite have the heft that I would want. I don't know.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how that.
We should talk about how the system performs.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I wanted to state that mine, I do have the external drive, and moving from the drive, I was going to do the network transfer, which they said was supposed to be faster. And it was telling me it was going to take 30 minutes just to install Yakuza and 30 minutes to install something else. And I was like, this doesn't seem faster. So I went ahead and just just connected the external drive. And it was super quick. Yakuza was 10 minutes. All of my big games were 10, 15 minutes at the most.
That's much better than previously.
So moving stuff around doesn't seem like it would be that big a deal. Then now, to be fair, when I was wanting to install certain things, that storage filled up quick. I really did have to start making decisions as to what games I wanted to have on the system itself and then what games I was just going to keep on the drive. But I want to be able to see the improvements, which you don't see if you keep it on your external drive. So that's the one thing that you get, Jens, that it doesn't matter, because you have that,
right,
that Seagate. So we'll
see.
see.
The improvements, you're saying it doesn't apply, say, auto HDR to a game?
No, it does not apply anything. It plays exactly like the way it did on the Xbox One or on the whatever.
If it's running off the external.
Yes. So if you want to see all the improvements to your old games, then you have to put it onto the actual system. Now the Seagate, that's the cool thing that's about the Seagate is it runs just like the system, so that's why you buy that Seagate. But we'll see. Because the external drive's not an SSD, so it can't run all that stuff, So, okay, so I will say the thing that you will notice instantly when you turn that console on is how fast the menus move compared to Xbox One. Mm-hmm. I have my Xbox One now back upstairs in my room, and so I played it some when work got slow, and you tell the difference between when the Series X is moving menus around to the Series or the Xbox One. Oh my God. It's not the PS4 slow. They improved that UI a lot over the whole life cycle of the console, which I do appreciate, which I feel like Sony didn't really do that much with the PS4.
Yeah, because it started out good, so why do they...
No, that store is terrible to move around in on the PS4. It's slow as crap.
That's true, I guess.
And it gets stuck, and the Xbox would also do the same thing. But
I never had it really get stuck. I mean, it might take a few seconds to load something, but I mean...
Yeah, that's what I meant. And I didn't like the way they did the thing with the trailers was annoying too. I had to press up and then figure out if it's going to play this or not. I don't know why they couldn't just make that better. But
have a play button like on the Xbox.
Yeah.
Or you just highlight the clip and press A. Well,
exactly.
There's an icon that says play on it.
I think, of course, the thing that you notice even more is when you get into a game, the load times are insane. How quickly everything Yakuza, playing it on the Xbox One, it literally took a while. Like, when it would go on those loading screens where it's showing the characters in the, 8-bit thing on the side, and it's like, and they're showing you those hints, which, okay, they give you hints, they're giving you parts of the story. You're not even gonna have time to read those because the thing loads out like here goes, snap my finger, it's there. It loads really fast. And that's what you want from these consoles, right? Like, I love the fact that it's quick. Like, forget scrolling on Twitter or Facebook or whatever anymore. Those jokes are actually true. You're not gonna, y'all experienced that with the PS5 too. But it's insane how fast. You're going for a 1X, Jens, so you're probably not seeing that as much as I am.
I still had load times before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, it ran well. It was a really great version. The 1X is still a great console. It was,
it's funny,
always a really, yeah.
Because there's a Kotaku article or column a few days ago about how the Xbox One was the most useless console the guy owned.
Well, I will fully admit I really should not have bought the One or even the 1X, considering how I did not play that many. They were supposed to be kind of my multi-platform game systems, and I just didn't play nearly as many games on them as on the PlayStation. And those are all games that, okay, they maybe ran a little bit, like Red Dead 2 ran a little bit better on the Xbox, but, it wasn't an essential experience to play it on the Xbox. So maybe that was a missed purchase. And I'm starting to have that feeling where, last time we talked about this, we talked about Xbox going to be my primary console for multiplat. And now that I've experienced the PS5 controller, I'm thinking, no, actually, I'm going to buy all these shooters and all this stuff on the PS5.
Well, will they actually take advantage of that is the thing.
That's
right?
the question, of course. Yeah, so you kind of have to, as per usual, as we've always done, you have to investigate, at least since the, 360 PS3 era, you've always had to investigate, okay, what version am I going to buy? Which is the ideal? Okay, Bayonetta, bad on PS3, good on 360. Okay, I'm going to get the 360 version, and so on and so forth, right?
Yep, and you're going through that with Assassin's Creed Valhalla right now, where if you don't have VRR on your TV, which I didn't buy the game, I bought that for Marc to review, so he's playing it on PS5, but I don't have VRR on my TV. So, or was it VVR? I don't know. Variable rate shading, whatever. Yeah. So I don't have that. So apparently if you don't have that right now until Ubisoft fixes it, or I don't know if they can fix it, there's really bad screen tearing on Xbox Series X for that game.
Ooh, ouch.
So, and it's pretty consistent. It's pretty constant. There's people that are completely talking about how they're regretting buying it on Series X now if they don't have a TV that has, now if you have VRR on your TV, you're fine. That pretty much kills it and you're good. But apparently Ubisoft just did not account for that, or I don't know, they didn't have time because they had to make sure it got out on the 10th. I don't know how that worked.
Isn't all this TV shit complete nonsense?
No. Why would it be? Different TVs have different specs.
Because if you want to get, some 144 hertz TV with, you have to look for 10, the one right TV in a sea of mismatched crap.
Well, there's there's a lot of TVs that have that. I'm just saying those aren't the budget versions. What I have a budget 4K TV.
Yeah, most people do. That's kind of my point. You don't want to drop $500 on a console, and it's I need the right TV. Let's go drop another $500 grand on a TV that can actually take full advantage of it.
Yeah, but this is why the Series S exists, right? Because there are a lot of people that don't give a crap. They just want to play games. So
the Series S really is ideal for running next-gen games on sub 4K. So, older, if you've got a 1080p TV, why would you buy anything else, right?
Yeah, don't buy a Series X. You're wasting your time. If you're not gonna,
I have a 1080p TV and I bought a PS5. So.
Well, yeah, but the PS5, there's not really a difference to iterations.
And I think, and there was also PS5 apparently doesn't do native 4K that well, whatever. But I agree with you, Marc. I'm not a TV person. I didn't think about moving my TV because I used the 49-inch. My mom and grandma actually had the 55 in the living room because I've always thought, okay, the biggest TV goes in the room where most of the people are. So my gaming room has the like 6-inch smaller TV, but it's the same series of TCL. It's the same shit, except it doesn't have it doesn't do that thing where it moves the screen. But aside from that, like, it does the same thing, and it looks really good, and that's all that matters to me. I don't need the 120. I know a lot of people love that 120 FPS. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to tell you what the game feels like in 120 FPS. My TV doesn't do that. I'm not going to go buy another TV to do it, you know?
Mine is just slightly too old, I think. I'm trying to convince myself right now that 60 is just fine.
Yeah, I mean, don't do that, Jens. Don't buy a TV for 120 FPS.
How old? Let me ask you, guys. How old are your TVs?
2016, I think.
Mine's a 2019.
Mine is 2011.
Okay.
And it's only 24 inches.
Right, but it's funny because Sean, your and my TV are basically equivalent. Looking at
basically.
The specs. And it's because basically a top of the line TV 2016 is the budget TV 2019. So we have equivalent TVs.
Just wait until 2030 and then you can buy the budget TV of the...
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but like the other TV that I use for the Xbox One now is like oh god, I don't even know how old this LG is. It's like, but I think it's even older than your TV, Mark. Yeah, because I was still in Texas at the time when I bought it, so I think it was 2011, 2010.
Yeah, so, I have an LG. My second TV is an LG from around that era, which is just 1080p. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it would, I did not really worry about 120 frames or hertz or whatever the heck at the time that I bought it. Even though there were already TVs that did it, but they were like $3,000, for a nice size. So
Jens, how have you liked the backwards compatibility part of this thing?
Oh my god,
that's the only thing you care about, apparently.
I mean, that honestly is the biggest selling point. I would not be buying this new Xbox if it wasn't for the fact that I know that every Xbox game that I had installed on my One X would carry forward and be theoretically even better. I don't know if they are better. I feel like there is a cap to how much old games can be improved, and stuff like Sid Meier's Pirates or, what are some 360 games I tried out. I booted up that Sam Max adventure game, Sam Max Save the World. I booted up Asura's Wrath. And with Asura's Wrath, I could tell that they were doing some fake HDR, because it was looking slightly more vibrant than I'm used to. And when I captured some footage, that footage had a different color palette than what I was seeing in game, which is a hallmark of HDR.
Oh, well, don't pay attention to that, because sometimes once your screen capture gets uploaded to Xbox Live, depending on where you put your capture settings, it may get downgraded on Xbox Live.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Of course it does. But I mean, the point is that I think you can tell, because Microsoft's promised this new feature, which is really neat, and is really the only improvement that's noticeable about 360 games, is that you can see that they pop a little bit more, or that colors are slightly different or more vibrant. It's neat. And you can tell the difference when you capture footage, because that footage will be non-HDR and you can actually just see them side by side. Like, I did some flipping back and forth between in-game and captured, and it was distinctive. So I realized that, so you can kind of test that mode is on. Other than that, it doesn't really, I haven't seen, Asura's Wrath did not suddenly go up to 4K. It's still rendering at 1080p.
Nor will it, probably. I mean,
yeah. The frame rate was nice and stable, and it ran perfectly well. But I did not see it didn't do the crazy bump in resolution that we saw from original Xbox games to Xbox One. It doesn't do that I was expecting Xbox 360 to Series X to do that, and it does not. So that's a little disappointing. But the HDR stuff's really cool. And I am pleased that pretty much everything I've booted up, games that used to not run well, like Crimson Dragon, for instance, I've tried a lot of games that I remember being shaky. Another one is, now I can't think of it, that zombie survival game that's gotten a sequel.
State of Decay.
Dead Island?
Thank you, State of Decay. State of Decay performed horribly on the 60. Had ridiculous load times, ridiculous texture pop, all sorts of issues.
It ran bad on the PC also.
Fair enough. I only looked at it briefly, but it ran pretty darn well. So that's all extremely nice.
Yeah.
Have you tried popping in a disc that's not supported yet?
I have not. I've installed.
Xbox, you don't have to worry about that. All the games that already worked still work.
No, I mean a game that doesn't work, Amp 3 or something something weird that it's not supported by the.
No, I haven't put my Baldur's Gate for
Put
Xbox.
it 50-cent butt on the sand.
Yeah, no, I haven't put any of my Xbox games that are not supported. Thankfully, we still have original Xbox consoles, Mark, so we're not completely out in the lurch as far as those games are concerned.
So, have you run into any of the things with the disc where
the disc drive is noisy?
Yeah.
Very noisy. I don't know how yours is.
Noisier than the PS5.
I don't have any, the only disc games I have are 2 360 games and Rise of the Tomb Raider. Everything else is digital.
My experience with it is that when you put a disc in first, it will have a couple of very loud clicks, and then you will hear it wind up.
That doesn't sound great.
And then it will go to a loud hum while it is installing the game, and then it will wind back down as you're booting the game actually from the hard drive, because everything really runs from the hard drive anyway.
Right. It makes you install the whole game so you're not running the disc anyway.
Yeah, so but it does then, if you have a disc in the system. I've actually taken Yakuza 7 out, because if you have a disc in the system, it will spin that disc up every time you boot, regardless of whether you're booting the game or not. And it will sometimes, it has done that thing that used to annoy me with my PS4 Pro, which I've now gotten rid of by trading it back in. That drive used to do a thing where you'd boot up a game and it would spin up the drive to verify that the game's in. And then it's supposed to run the game off the hard drive, but actually the drive never stops spinning and never stops humming. And it's just kind of stuck in there, but you also can't eject it because that will, quit the game. Anyway, it has done that where the drive was just constantly doing something, even though Yakuza 7 was not actually running, which then made me just eject the disc and put it aside and say, I'll put this back in when I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
So that's not that great.
You don't say.
I still think it's going to be mostly fine. The 2 disc games I've put in and installed are Yakuza 7 and Man-Eater. I wanted to look at that. That's just a little bit sharper, but otherwise seems to be the same, pretty much.
Doesn't it have a Series X upgrade or?
It does, actually. It has a, I forget how many gigabytes it was, but it does have a pack that downloads. And I guess the textures are nicer. It's been a little while since I've looked at it. I guess I could do a side-by-side with my previous Xbox, which is still around, but I haven't done that.
And the downloads are incredible.
Very fast.
I will say there was times where I guess the network got overloaded. Okay. Like last night, I was trying to do the updates I was able to do the update on Yakuza really fast, and then, Falconeer and...
That's like a big upgrade, like 18 gigabytes.
Yeah. And then, what is it? The other one that I did, some of the other ones, I did all the ones that I had Series X, like the smart delivery, whatever. I went ahead and did those. Like Ori was fast too, but then you got to Halo Master Chief Collection, Gears 5, and Gears Tactics, and those were going super slow. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? I felt like I don't know if Xfinity got mad that all of a sudden I was downloading a bunch of crap all of a sudden, and they just bottlenecked my internet, or I don't know what happened, but it was going it went from having 350 megabytes or whatever to it was down to 10 and wouldn't go above that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to play a game while these load. Does your TV go into game mode or whatever when?
Yes.
Mine does the same thing. Okay.
Things, yeah.
Well,
I do a little bit of customizing on top of game mode generally as far as advanced settings, but game mode is the base of where you want to start because it puts your TV into the don't turn any of the dumb filters on setting.
I agree with that. So it's different for me because you're coming from 1X where I don't think it probably doesn't look, the difference isn't as stark, I guess, than it is for me, but the thing with my issue is 2 of the, Bright Memory, I got to play through that. It's a tech demo, basically. It's like a 40-minute tech demo that's been on PC for, a year now? And it's funny because on PC it's $25. Or what was it, $5? I don't remember. But it's $8 on Series X. And it's one of the few it's the only exclusive game. Which is ironic because it doesn't look like a Series X game at all. It's it should be on the 360. The character models are, it just looks nice, but it doesn't look like it should for a Series S game. But I will say it plays really well. it feels good to shoot things and whatever. It's just based on, old tech and feels like an old game. Instead of, how where you play shooting games now, you'll do where you close in to shoot people. This game, you don't want to do that because it gets stuck. You have to actually press the button to take it off the scope. So you just do the whole thing where you shoot and strafe like you did back in the day with FPS.
Sounds like fun.
So, and then it's like, feels like it's trying to be FPS Dark Souls, where a lot of the characters are very like Dark Souls-y, or just like weird, like you have like these bats that shoot, rockets at you and these lion things that have like wings. They can't fly, but they look weird. And
remind me again what this is called?
Bright Memory. It's not okay. So apparently the one that they showed at the Xbox conference, Bright Memory Infinite, is the sequel that looks like a million times better than this game. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
The review spread on this game is crazy.
Yeah, it's mainly because the graphics, and then also just the camera's not good. The
9 out of 10 on Steam and 55% on Metacritic.
Yep. And then go look at the Series X reviews and you'll see the discrepancy there too. Really bad. No, but I mean, for being a 40-minute game, it's fine. It's just like, it kind of gave me some vibe, because like when you go through the two bosses, they all have their moves that you have to kind of remember what they're doing and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how they do Bright Memory Infinite when that finally comes out. But yeah, how far are you? I got to chapter 5 in Yakuza now, where I just got, the girl. I can't remember her name now.
I have played maybe one more hour of Yakuza, and that's because I've been focused almost entirely on doing that Cold War review.
Focus on a better game. Let's just admit it right here now.
No, I'll be excited to get back to Yakuza. If anything, my Xbox impressions are deficient by virtue of having put most of my time over the last 3 or 4 days into Call of Duty.
Does that take advantage of the controller?
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. That game is worth playing just to feel how different each of the different guns feel.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's so nice.
Although you have to turn off the trigger thing for multiplayer.
Well, you don't have to, but it's a thing where I just kind of feel better in a competitive environment.
Why? Because it happens all the time.
Yeah, because it's just another thing to this. Actually, the one thing that I think would give you an advantage in multiplayer, which I love about it, is with the haptics, is that you can feel when your magazine is empty.
Yeah.
So when your gun is empty, your trigger will be in kind of a mushy, depressed state where you can't really pull it anymore. The same way that a real gun's trigger would feel with your magazine depleted. So it gives you a great tactile kind of clue that you need to reload. So that's helpful. I wish I could just leave that one thing on and turn everything else off. That's like the one. I wish there was a little bit more granularity to the configuration of that game.
Maybe that'll be something that they add in the future.
I just don't want anything to, some of those, I just don't want trigger resistance in multiplayer, You want to be able to what's the word? Just kind of fan your trigger ever so slightly.
Hairline
your trigger. You want to be able to do that. That game in the single player campaign very deliberately puts okay, if you're using a sniper rifle, that trigger is a very hard trigger versus say a minigun trigger that you just hold down and the rumble goes crazy. It's incredibly impressive. Marc, what do you think?
Yeah, it's good. I did turn it off for the multiplayer because you really need to have the split second aiming and shooting aspect of it. Mm-hmm. But the effects for the single player are really good, and zombies too. Actually,
for single player, it's amazing.
Zombies are a little slower, but
they do so many little immersive things with the rumble. It's great.
Although you're having to play through a mission for 5 hours.
Well, but that's that's the weird thing. I'll talk about that in my view. That mission is problematic. But here's the funny thing: that is still my favorite mission in the game, despite the fact that I've spent way more time in it than I would want to. Just because it's the one mission that goes in a different direction than what you're used to from Call of Duty by giving you multiple paths to completion and giving you kind of a big environment to traverse and backtrack in to do objectives, some of which are optional in a non-linear way that I'm used to. Also in a stealthy way that, it's not like Black Ops as a series hasn't had stealth missions.
No, but it feels like it really does feel like a weird hybrid of Call of Duty and then Hitman.
Yes, it does have a Hitman quality for sure. So, the problematic thing, I'll just talk about it. there's a piece of evidence, there's one of 3 pieces of evidence that are required to get the best ending on one of the 2 submissions in the game. So there are 2 submissions in the game where you're hunting down various important higher-ups in the KGB or double agents or whatever. And you've got to garner intel to identify them correctly, which basically means that you've got to collect intel in other levels, and then you've got to look at that intel and kind of do some math puzzles and do some code breaking to pick the right people, and then you get to do that mission. And one of those pieces of intel in that particular mission in KGB headquarters moves around, either randomly or based on what order you're doing the objectives in. So
that's cool.
It just becomes that thing where you're trying to look at guides, which, I fully admit I sometimes look at a guide, and every guide is telling you a different thing. Oh, it's in the server room. No, it's in the camera room. No, it's in the war room or whatever. Or it's in the records room.
Yeah, records room. See, it's funny because I looked at a guide too, and the guide was like, "Oh, it's in the records room." Like that was the first guide,
and it was.
Like, yep, it was.
So
right, cool.
I think it may be in the records room if you immediately go to the records room upon turning off the cameras. So it may be that it starts in the records room and then starts moving around based on what objectives you're doing and in what order. Or it's random. I don't know.
It's funny because I think in World War II, the Call of Duty game, there was a mode where like people would be hunting objects. There's like one team was humans and one team like could take the form of a object in the game or in the level, and you had like walk around as an object, like a flagpole or like a rock or something like that. And that's what it made me think of. Like your evidence is just running around.
So it's funny that like you found it immediately and it was no issue for you, and I spent like 4 hours, 5 hours on it.
Yeah, that's why like when you were bitching about it, I was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Like I just found it. Like
anyway, so that's what I've been doing instead of making progress in Yakuza, a game that is probably going to rank much higher on my Game of the Year list. But I will say this: Call of Duty is pretty good. It's a pretty good Call of Duty game. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I will say as somebody that has been playing, but I love the characters in Yakuza. God,
man.
they are so good. And Ichiban is so, he's so likable, and he's funny, and he's silly. And I know the other games had this too, but it's just like, I just feel that they could have easily kind of just shoehorned the RPG stuff in there, right? And but they did this so well of basically taking the RPG, especially the JRPG, and turning on its head. Like, your characters are, ex-Yakuza that goes to prison, a detective that basically gets run out of right before he's gonna retire, a homeless guy, and then the sister of somebody that you help at some point. And it's like,
that's every Yakuza game.
I know, but I'm just saying, okay, for JRPGs, right, that's not what happens. Like, it's, the most worthy king or prince or whatever, it's like, usually it's not, when he's talking about how he wants to be a hero like Dragon Quest, he's like the antithesis of Dragon Quest, basically. Except he has, the heart of the hero, so it's what's funny about it. It's like, as somebody that's been homeless before, I kind of relate also to, their plight in there too. And just, I'm enjoying the story.
Portrayal.
Yeah, exactly. It's very compassionate. It's very, thoughtful. I love the side stories, of course, are the silliest stuff ever. Like, I met, was it a guy that was just he had to get out of the soap land so fast because his grandma was dying or something, and he didn't have any clothes on. And so you have to go take him across the street so nobody can beat him up for him to go to a store so he could buy clothes. And he's sitting there with the soap dripping off him or whatever. It's dumb, but, the summons are ridiculous.
Yeah.
The first one you get is, terribly racist. So, I love the way that they do the attacks, and even though I feel like some of the QuickTime stuff, I don't know if it's just me, I'm not getting where you're supposed to press Y or whatever, but it feels like Ichi's on Series X doesn't work that well for me. I don't know. I keep trying to press Y right when you're, it gets to the closest, and I guess you're supposed to press it earlier. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the timing, so I don't think I've gotten to that section yet.
I like the what?
You press Y. Is there like a timer where you press Y at the right moment to do a summon or something?
It's so like no, not summons. Like Ichi's like skills attacks where most of his are you press Y.
I've just had mash X so far.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you haven't gotten that far. Like eventually he gets somewhere you have to press Y, just mash X. And for some reason, I don't know why. I guess maybe I'm just not finding the little groove for it where you hit it and it gets it every time. But I love Namba. He's like he's a freaking, okay, first of all, he's a homeless mage that carries around an umbrella. So like,
he looks like Harry Potter, like if Harry Potter had to be terrible.
So, and then he's like, part of his magic is, he blows alcohol and it shoots fire into people. And like he cures himself by falling asleep, which that's not new. I mean, you've seen like Legend of Drunken Master, you've seen that before, but it's still funny, So, and I love the fact that like you walk around and basically, I mean, the purview of the enemies is like pretty large. So you have to like be on the other side of the street for them not to see you. I don't know if you noticed that, Jens, in the
well, there might be, most Yakuza games have an item that you can get eventually that will make them ignore you more or will reduce that radius.
Oh, okay.
So there'll be something like that, but yeah, I guess the random encounters are pretty easy to get into, but that's always been the case. I mean, I've been chased by thugs around Kamurocho so many years now. It happens a lot. They'll spot you and they'll come after you.
Oh no, there's times where, for the most part, I'm good at like keeping my health where it needs to, but there's been a couple of times, and you do get penalized for, if you go to the wrong side of the street where you're not supposed to be there yet, you're gonna get punished by enemies that are much, higher level than you are. So, I was like, okay, I can't just go anywhere I want unless I happen to avoid, fights, which sometimes you can't necessarily do. So, and it was funny because I can't believe that I was so dumb to like, I kept going back and forth between the map, and then I go, you know what, let me press A on here to see what happens. And all of a sudden, I could chart my own waypoint that I didn't know I could do. So, because then all of a sudden this green line shows up that tells you you could basically, okay, so if you see like where there's going to be another side story because it shows it to you on the map there, you can actually chart your way there, and then you can just follow the green line to that thing instead of...
You were just used to previous games in the series not having.
Yeah, so I just kept going backwards to the map, and I'm like, okay, at some point I'm gonna figure out how to get here, and they actually add that in, so, that was good. I just really, like, it's just, it's totally vibing with me right now. I totally enjoy, I'm supposed to be reviewing this, so I'm trying to mainline, but I want to get through the side stories too, because you keep unlocking things with the side stories. It's not just doing side stories, it's like, I found where you get to do the exams, which are super expensive, but like you raise Ichi's like passion and courage and stuff by doing them. So like this is actually worth doing. I was talking to a friend and he said, yeah, when you get to that part where you, get to like have either the real estate section, which is in, I guess, all the Yakuza games. He had his own.
Zero introduced it.
Oh, okay.
And Zero had it.
Yep.
I think.
Oh, really? Wasn't in the other ones?
No, because they have different systems. Like they have the cabaret is like more like the later one, but not the real estate one.
Oh, I don't know if it was a cabaret or that, but he says like he had his own business just so he could do the exams because they upped your stats so much on him. So, but yeah, I would say that if you have an Xbox or you have a PS4, I think it's definitely worth getting. You don't need to wait to have the other consoles, to get. It does look a lot better on Series X, and I'm sure it will when it gets to PS5 in March or month that is to be there. But man, it's so good. It's one of my top games.
We finally reached the point where we just don't really see pixels much anymore.
Yeah.
Every now and then you'll see it a little bit when there's like a weird kind of post-processing effect on something. Like, you'll still see them when there is stuff that's like meant to be rendered out of focus because it's close to the camera or something. You'll see like some pixelation there, but like most of it is just, it's so sharp and the aliasing is so good that it just looks so clean. And the draw distance is all the way and the frame rate is stable and it's just so sharp. I think there's subtle stuff that they're adding from the playing it between the One X and the Series X. I think there's just kind of lighting and environmental effect stuff.
It's smooth too. It's all really smooth. Like that's the thing that the stiltedness that you go from that like pause that happens when you go into a battle that feels like it's like it stays stuck there. And then it doesn't happen like that on Series X. It just goes straight to. Oh, I love the freaking thing where I don't know if you've gotten that far, so I don't want to spoil it for you.
Okay.
But eventually you start seeing the enemies like very much in like, you know, JRPG way where they don't appear as they would assume, you know, as you think they would.
You're imagining them as JRPG type like monsters.
And it's like great, like it actually makes you want to go through and fight all the different enemies that you see, because it's like, oh, I want to see how who turns into what and what they look like.
And they set that up so beautifully at the beginning of the game, where you basically find out that Ichiban is brain damaged. Where he's seeing these things that nobody else sees, and his buddy's like, what are you talking about? It's so good.
It's like, nobody else saw this? You didn't see that? Oh, don't tell me I'm crazy. Like, yes, I did see it.
You were talking about, Ichiban as opposed to previous other entries in the series earlier, and I was kind of thinking how, like, you know, Ichiban versus Kiryu, the big difference between them is that, you know, Kiryu is kind of wise, but he's also a really passive protagonist. Whereas Ichiban is a gigantic dumbass, but he's a very proactive protagonist, who gets into fights on purpose a lot and kind of intervenes in things and is extremely opinionated and injects himself into situations that he shouldn't, which is not something that Kiryu would ever do. So
he's very much the hero of a JRPG. He thinks he can just solve everything, and then sometimes figures out, oh shit, I can't. So
Kiryu is more like the classic wandering loner who doesn't really want to deal with stuff unless he absolutely has to.
Yep, exactly. So I guess it's like a pick your what you like there, but definitely. So like, I think at the end of the day, my final thoughts are not going to be much different than a lot of people's. I think it really depends on where you're coming from. As much as Marc doesn't want to hear it, your TV does make a little bit of difference here. And if you're coming from a 1X like Jens, I think you don't need to, I think you can wait. If there's somebody's here listening that's on the fence and you haven't been able to get a PS5 and you were going, let me see if I can get an Xbox just to get in, to avoid the FOMO and all. Like, honestly, there's nothing out right now that you can't play on something else that's worth.
That's true.
I would, we would have had the chance to see our first one in December, but Cyberpunk screwed that up. So now you won't get nothing until 2021 that won't be playable on your Xbox One or Xbox One X. But
it will run your previous generation games better. So
yeah, it will make your games look better that you've already had, or, but that mileage may vary for people. Like,
it's kind of like buying a new iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what it feels like.
Because the controller doesn't change and because the interface doesn't change at all, it feels, I think, like less of an upgrade than it is. I think technically it is a huge upgrade as far as future potential. I think eventually they're going to make absolutely mind-blowing stuff for this thing.
Yeah, and those games all the studios are going to start paying off. You hope eventually.
But like right now, it feels like a slight iterative upgrade. It feels like less of an upgrade than I think it is really.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's games that look really good on that. Like Tetris Effect looks great on that, which is on Game Pass, and you don't have to have, so you can play it on your Xbox One or Xbox One X as well. Ori looks great on it if you haven't played it yet. I mean, like, I think if you're moving for some reason from a PS4 to a Series X, you're going to be astounded. Like, I think you're going to be, like, going nuts, like, I think that's going to be amazing to you. If you're coming from an Xbox One like me, you're really going to be able to see the difference. If you're coming from a One X, I think it's worth just to wait. Wait until there's games that really make it worth for you to spend that money on the system. And if you don't have a 4K TV, just get a Series S. Like,
yeah, it's been getting, I mean, I can't speak to it personally, but I hear it's perfectly competent.
Yeah, it's perfectly competent.
Or want hard drive space.
Yeah, you're right. The digital only plus small hard drive, that That is the clincher, right?
Yeah, but the load times and all that other stuff is the same. So like, or for the most part, the same. So like, you'll still have the thing of what I talked about with if you could just have an external drive and move stuff back and forth, you'll have to do a lot more moving back and forth to pick and choose what you want, but it's still way better than just deleting and reinstalling. The times that it'll take and save you is a lot. So, that's something to really consider. It's not worth it at all if you got the Series S to buy that memory card, because you basically should have just bought a Series X.
Yeah.
At that point.
Right, where are you putting your extra $200? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no. I'm excited to try Destiny 2 on this thing because of the expansion and how good it looks and everything. Like, that's one thing I'll say. It does make you want to go back and play games from the Xbox One era that perhaps you didn't check out or something because it looks better. So yeah, that's the thing is mileage ain't vary on that. If you want to spend your $500, go spend it. But I feel like you could also just spend some of that on just buying the games, enjoying the games, and then wait until there's a lot of Series S and X games that are only on those systems, or really take advantage of that hardware, and you can really enjoy them. Speaking of old stuff, what do you guys think of the rumor of God of War Ragnarok is apparently going to be on PS4 too?
I doubt it. It's not Russian.
No, I think that Jim Ryan is being very coy on purpose. That means that thing is going to be on PS4. Why wouldn't you just say no?
I could see it happening. I mean,
nobody else is buying a PS4 right now. So what PS4 do you need to cannibalize? If it was only on PS5, that helps buy PS5s, right? So if he's being coy, that means that it's got to be on PS4 as well. I don't know. I just feel like it only helps you if you say, no, this is a PS5 exclusive game.
Yeah, but there are a ton of games currently scheduled for the PS4 that are coming out in a few months, or even maybe a year or two down the road.
Well, I'm just saying, but this is a big game. We're not talking about some third party that just doesn't want to miss out on potential people buying it. We're talking about a big tentpole game that's supposed to come out next year when you're further down the line. You're hoping that you're out of this pandemic, people that can get back to normal. PS5s will be much more available. This could be a system seller, people who don't have it yet.
I see it as exclusive.
It makes sense as a cross-gen game to me just because of how the previous game performed on PS4. It seems like they could replicate that and then build on top of it.
Well, I'm still of the belief that it's another Miles Morales, that it's not an actual God of War 2. So if it's that, then it doesn't necessarily need to be. But it's also going to be like Miles Morales. That's the difference, I feel, is when you go from, now, granted, this is a Sony studio, first-party studio. They could have done this on purpose because they really wanted people to see the difference between the PS5 and the PS4 version of Miles Morales and say, oh crap, I want to get that on PS5. After seeing it, I don't want to buy that on PS4 right now.
Why?
Because there is a big difference between what it looks like on PS4 and what it looks like on PS5.
Yeah, but it comes over, so who cares?
I know it comes over, but I'm just saying, I don't feel like I'm really getting the experience that they wanted you to have with that game. I feel like they shortchanged the PS4 one on purpose so that you'd want to buy it on PS5. I don't know. Plus, I worry about, I don't have a Pro. That thing sounds like a jet too much. Is it going to break it like Last of Us? That's why I haven't bought Last of Us for it, because after you told me what happened, I was like, I'm scared to do that with mine.
Actually, Spider-Man, it was loud, but it wasn't as bad as Last of Us or Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about, the Pathless or something like that. But not necessarily Spider-Man or Navy Sackboy. But I don't know. I feel like I want to save Spider-Man for when whenever that PS5 comes in and I can have that, moment to play it. I don't know. We'll see how that happens. Cause by the time that happens, there may be a lot more games that I have to play at that point. Any more thoughts on Demon's Souls, Jens? Or you've had to be playing so much Call of Duty, I guess.
Cold War all the way. Pretty much as soon as you graced me with that review code.
I had to give it to someone.
Yeah, I had to give it to someone because Daniel couldn't do it, and I was like, there's kind of no point to review a PS4 version of anything at this point.
Well, you'll have two warring Call of Duty reviews.
That's fine.
Two Call of Duty reviews enters, one Call of Duty review emerges. Victor.
I don't know.
Funny 'cause when I read part of your review, you had like 4 paragraphs of plot for like the backstory, and I have like long paragraphs too. Mine's like 4 sentences, and that's just gonna move on.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, it just depends, right? If you want to break down the plot, break down the plot. Some people don't like that in reviews because you're giving away. A lot of people that are reading the review necessarily haven't played the game.
Yeah, there's a difference between like spoiling and just delving into the actual plot. I mean, you're not spoiling anything.
I just think the plot is one of the more interesting things about that game.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what I'm here for.
Right.
So are you gonna dive into Shadowlands, Mark, or?
You get a code. Yeah, I mean.
Well, you need to get on that if you're gonna want that.
I'm the WoW guy, so yeah, I'm gonna have to.
What is that?
WoW.
The WoW expansion comes out on the 23rd.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I just realized that. I was like, I probably should have told Mark to go ahead and ask the guy for his code when he was asking for Call of Duty.
Wow.
No, because they don't have, it's not Blizzard. They only
Oh, that's right. They have a different PR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that system.
Oh, Star Renegades finally hit consoles. I would definitely tell people to go play that game. It came out today for Switch and Xbox One, and it's on Gamepass. Definitely
Star Renegades.
Definitely go check that out. It's a strategy game, but it's like really cool. I like it. I played it on the PC. Yeah.
It looks like a classic like RPG battle system where you just have 2D sprites standing across from each other and you picking stuff from a menu.
But you also get to like break the enemy and stuff like that too. So like what your attacks do, kind of interesting. That Sam & Max remaster comes out really fast.
Yep.
Yeah-esque. Okay. Oh, it's got some Nemesis systems type stuff in it, like Shadow of Mordor?
Mm-hmm. Has some of that in there.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm just waiting. I'm hoping I can get all the reviews I'm supposed to do done by the time Immortals Phoenix Rising comes, so I can dig into that and have my Ubisoft open world game, even though I'm experiencing that with the Yakuza right now. So
yeah, my goal is to try and finish the important Game of the Year stuff before we have that conversation, at least.
Yeah, we'll see.
So Yakuza, Souls, those are kind of the most important ones, I guess.
Yeah, well, we'll be getting into that as the weeks go on, because thankfully it feels like you get a big break here between now and like December 3rd, and we'll see what happens with Cyberpunk. Part of me is still thinking that it's going to get delayed again.
Yep.
I don't know. If Cyberpunk comes out early December like they promised, and we actually get it, it may be able to make that conversation. It may be able to make the lists if we cram hard enough.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you guys want to do with your favorite top 10s if you want to put it in there. But, I mean, I'm kind of hoping it does, because I want to keep things on the normal schedule that we normally do them, where we try to get that big column out by the time, like that first week of January at the latest.
Yeah, it's already messed up Randy and my schedule enough, Cyberpunk has.
Yeah, because you guys were that was supposed to be your big chapter select.
And now we're like, let's fill time until Cyberpunk, I guess.
With bad movies.
Well, that too.
Well, you want to plug your show here?
No. That was not really my intent, but yeah, I suppose. This Friday something's coming out. It's Wing Commander. We talked about that last.
Well, definitely go check out Jens and Randy talking about bad video game movies, and also,
Matthew Lillard makes no bad movies. Come on now.
Look forward to our coverage of In the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege tale featuring Matthew Lillard.
Yep.
Oh boy. Really? You guys will read that too?
Well, we will at some point.
Why are you torturing Randy?
He brought it himself.
It's on my orders.
Anyway.
Okay, well, we'll, at least Marc's Call of Duty review will be up by Friday when I don't know what we're going to talk about if we do another show on Friday.
I was going to have it last night. It's basically done. I just finished the game and then put the finishing touches on the roof, so.
That last mission, good luck with that.
Okay.
Not the last mission, but like the second to last mission. That's the head scratcher one.
The Cuba stretch, basically?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's taken me longer than I hoped, but yeah. Don't worry, you'll have that review. We can hopefully launch both of them Friday, is my hope. I'm promising on air, so.
I can start writing my Bright Memory review now. I just gotta get myself to keep playing Falconeer, but it's so hard when you have the wonderful Yakuza staring at you all the time.
I mean, one thing, it'll be funny to, now that we've got both of the new consoles, getting Randy to play more Binary Domain for Chapter Select.
Yeah.
It's like, no, put up your PC, put up this old 360 port. Do it.
Well, maybe his Series X will show up in the time that y'all are doing that Binary Domain. He's still waiting on his.
Binary Domain, unfortunately, not one of the backwards compatible games.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No, it's a terrible shame.
That sucks.
In my mind, the biggest omission on.
I'm surprised that they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe if they can get enough people, they can show enough people playing things that they'll start going back into let's do more with backwards compatibility.
They did. Nope. This is actually, I'm glad we're talking about this because they did actually add at the day that the Series X came out, there was like a dozen new games that suddenly popped up on the backwards compatibility list.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't even have the words 50 Cent, Blood in the Sand.
No, that's the sad thing. But there was some obscure Japanese stuff that I'd never even heard of where I was like, oh, cool.
Hey,
that's kind of a nice stealth upgrade after they had supposedly finished, because they announced, I think it was like a year and a half ago, that they were basically done doing it.
Yeah, they're emulation ninjas, as they call them.
But yeah, I guess I don't know if it's the Series X that allows. You might think that with the Series X's extra power, that maybe further emulation would be possible.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was just they got tired of like finding like how did they get a hold of this publisher or that.
Right, it's probably a rights
dead.
Yeah. But, Binary Domain is Sega. They've got a pretty good relationship with Sega.
And it's not like there's like a ton of license in the game or like, rights of real people or something. Or it's not like a licensed property.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure it's just some like quirk in the game engine that doesn't like let it run correctly or
they just didn't care. It was just not prioritized. And then the whole program ended before they got to it. That is to me the most likely scenario. That's usually how these things work out. I don't see any reason with both of these consoles why they couldn't do full backwards compatibility other than maybe PS3 being an issue with the weird architecture.
Sony just, they're doing it with the PS Now to really get people to buy that. But it's just, they've said it again and again which is true. Most people, once the consoles come out and they start actually having games, to Sony's credit, they have 3 or 4 really good ones to start out with their launch. But, you can't say that for Xbox at all.
Mm-hmm.
People, the further you get into the consoles, other than, remasters and remakes, which always seem to come out, people don't care about playing those old games. They want to play the new games. So what's the point of investing all that money?
All right. Fair enough.
I hope Sega themselves, does it with Persona and all that. I'd love to see them on these new consoles or, not just stuck on PC or whatever, but we'll see.
My whole point is just I enjoy pulling Randy away from toys and force him to play his old toys.
And, we got the announcement that Persona 5 Scramble actually has a release date in America.
Oh my God, thank Christ. February 21st, I think?
Yeah, but it's only in Asian markets, at least supposedly. That's what it's leaked from.
Here's the good news. PlayAsia.com. Go get yourself the Hong Kong version.
So we're still not getting an actual I don't even care. I mean, why can't they just release it with subtitles and then
people like the English dialogue or the English.
I know, but I'm saying Bandai Namco does this shit all the time. Why can't you just release it here with subtitles and then patch in a dub later?
Well, hey, if you want to really play the game, go buy the PS4 version and pop it on your PS5.
That may
because I want to be able to read. I want to know what's happening. I don't know. That's just me. I have to read playing the One Piece Musu game, but I can at least know what's going on because I can read the text. I don't.
Well, I always expect at least English text in the Hong Kong versions of games. Usually not dub. I can't think of a single one that had the dub, but they always have some kind of an English subtitle.
Well, I was gonna ask because apparently this has been happening. Did either one of you guys have a problem with Call of Duty crashing your PS5? Or?
Yep.
Oh yes.
And we both lost campaign progress.
Yeah. Well, okay, so those are unrelated incidents.
Though. Oh, yeah.
The campaign progress thing is more, I've unlocked the next mission. I will now close my game and shut down my PS5 and come back tomorrow. You come back the next day. oh, the mission which I finished is no longer finished.
Mine is different. I unlocked a new mission, and then I did one of the optional missions, and then I got back to the base, and the new mission I unlocked was gone. And I was like, how do what do I do? And it was like, I just had to replay the one mission again, or the last mission I did, and it unlocked. And I was like, okay.
There are times where it seems the game just kind of forgets your progress. I've also had times where I'm glad actually I finished one of the bonus missions, one of the two optional missions, the Chaos one, just before this recording. I was glad that I finished it just in time because, I've been so concerned with, I've had to back out of the game, mid-mission, and then it gives you the option when you come back in to continue from the checkpoint. And you say, okay, yes, I will continue from the checkpoint, and it starts you off at the beginning.
No, I had one. The game has like 16 missions, but only like 10 are really playable. I had one. It got locked. I completed mission 10. My checkpoint was on like mission 5. And I was like, what the fuck? What's going on here?
But none of this has to do with just in the middle of a mission. I was just in the middle of a firefight, and suddenly just my PS4 just goes, whoa,
PS5.
PS5, sorry, yeah, it just like made a crazy, it dead stopped, shut itself off, made a weird noise, and you boot it back up, and it actually was, talked about reconstructing the drive.
Yeah, the device storage or whatever. Yeah,
reconstructing device storage and all that. And Jesus Christ.
The first time it happened to me only once, but it scared the hell out of me. So I'm like, what? I thought it was like broken, because mine wouldn't turn on for like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yes. It was completely dead for a little while. Not 3 or 4 minutes. I think it may have just seemed longer by virtue of being so terrified.
Mine was about 3 minutes. I timed it. I was like, okay, what's going on here? Like, I was like, do I need to send this in? Or that was like the day I got it, or like the day after I got it, it was deadlocked. And I'm like,
the funny thing, you didn't tell me about the fact that this thing like hard crashed your PS5 until just after I'd accepted the review code.
Yeah.
So you did not let me know that I was putting my PS5 in danger.
That was a nice surprise. To be fair, it literally just happened that time too. So.
All right, a likely story.
Yeah, the game's. I would say Cold War is probably the buggiest game. The Valhalla's not that far off though.
Oh no,
I've heard Valhalla does stuff too.
It hasn't crashed my system yet, but like there's a cutscene where like this Viking woman is like trying to like bandage someone's arm, and like there's no one on the ground. She was like doing an animation, and there's a guy like in front of her standing. And he kept like interfering with her model. And I'm like, yep, it's an Assassin's Creed game, all right.
Has to have glitches. It's a Ubisoft game. You can't.
Yep. Actually, Watch Dogs was pretty. It didn't have too many glitches, I think, but Valhalla is significantly bigger, so that's why. Yeah, that's the first and hopefully only time that's happened, but probably not.
Yeah, we'll see. At least it didn't break it. There was something.
If it broke it, I'd be sending to build Activision.
Well, one of the games was breaking people's consoles, wasn't it? It was a game early on that if you left it in sleep mode, and then you booted it back up, might break your console.
Spider-Man. Miles?
Oh, it was Miles Morales. Yes, it was.
I think Jeff Gertzman talked about that. He was like if I go to restart it or like go back from sleep mode, like I have to like restart the console.
Yeah.
And the guy who runs the Insomniac PR was like, we're working on that. Like,
well, there was a patch just like a day or two ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens sometimes. We're the guinea pigs.
True.
When you buy these consoles new.
Yeah, I have to go get a Square Trade warranty.
Oh yeah, that's right. You can do that, right? Well,
yeah.
You have 1 year from manufacturer.
Yeah, the Square Trade you can only get a warranty after a month for a month of purchase, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's how it is.
But
well, yeah, I think that's...
Have either of your guys' Xboxes started smoking yet?
No.
That's so silly.
I did have I don't know if it was my Xbox or if it's because I was trying to I did have a thing. Oh, I didn't even talk about this. A quick resume.
Mm-hmm.
I did have the quick resume work for Bright Memory. That's the thing. I don't know if it's because I was installing stuff on my Xbox One at the time, and if that messed up something with my Series X, that like made it to where no game would load. It kept saying, "Oh, we can't load." It would like take forever to load, and then it would tell me, "Oh, we can't load your game at this time," or whatever. And so I reset. I just went into the menu and did a reset of the console. Cause now it lets you do that. That's something that wasn't there before. They added to the UI where you can actually just you hold down like you're going to turn it off in the controller, and now it has a reset console right there. and it reset it, and then Bright Memory loaded up on Quick Resume in like 2 seconds. And then I did it again on Yakuza, and I was like, man, this really is cool. and it does it automatically, so it's not like, I still save all the time in Yakuza because I'm so used to like that JRPG mentality of, I don't want to lose any progress. So, even though I think it saves like after every cutscene or whatever, but still, like I don't want to lose anything. So I'm just like constantly saving, but it's still cool that exists, that the quick resume thing is there. So yeah, I mean, I don't normally play, I'm switching between games right now because we have all these games we got to review and whatnot, but yeah, normally I don't do that.
That's every launch. Every launch is just voraciously kind of sampling all of the launch games. And then the next 3 or 4 months of our lives is actually digging through the giant, like, mountain of games we've dumped on ourselves.
I know, right? Or you find ones that you're like, I know this happens to me a lot. I know Marc probably has gone through this where review's over. I'm not playing this again. It's like, I'm not touching this ever again.
That's every game I review.
I'm excited to clear those 190 gigabytes of my PS5 hard drive.
Like, I did that with Captain Tsubasa and Battlegrounds off the Switch. I was like, out of here, bro. Like, I'm not playing this again. And like, I mean, there's some games, like, that I really liked and I did keep on there. Like Xenoblade is obviously still on my Switch. But, like, you go through so much stuff to review a lot of these games, you're just like, I'm exhausted. I don't want to see you again for a while. Get out of here. So. But alright, everybody, I don't know what Marc and I are going to talk about, or I guess if Jens was on Friday. There's some news, but yeah, here's your review of the Series X. And
well, I mean, I guess Jens would be the best person to ask between the two. I mean, you already said you like the PS5, that'll be more your multi-platform one, but which one are you more excited to have right now, or to,
Well, I mean, at the moment, it's no contest between them, just because the PS5 is way more exciting as far as games go. If I hadn't I've chosen Yakuza as an Xbox game, so that has now made the Xbox necessary for me as well. So, but as far as, if I had just one, PS5 is it. I think in the long term, maybe Xbox might be better just because it seems to be a little bit more high powered and have a little bit more of a slightly higher ceiling as far as performance in the future.
Yeah, it seems like, talking or seeing what, the Digital Foundry, one of the Digital Foundry guys says that like their SDK that they used to make all these games, like the tools were very on the low end. They didn't upgrade them much when they were making these first launch games. So as the time goes on, and we'll probably see it with what's that game? That Bluebird Team game, I can't think of it right now. The Medium. We'll probably see some of that with the Medium, which is the first like true exclusive game. And then, when we get Scorn and stuff like that, we'll finally see stuff. I think that's just the thing is PS5, they at least made the effort to, from the ground up, make some games for PS5 where you can really tell the difference. All these games are for Xbox One right now. The same thing that's happening with Cyberpunk, right? We're probably not going to really see what Cyberpunk could really look like for PS5 and Series X for a while because they're having to make sure that they work for these other consoles. So that's why if you haven't gotten a system yet, I still say that you don't need to go nuts and kill your fingers to get one. Maybe the okay, so that's my thing, is if you're somebody that is cash strapped and you have a 4K TV, you really want to spend that money, and you don't want to have to buy a bunch of games, Game Pass is a wonderful thing.
That's true. We haven't even, how have we not talked about this? This is a huge selling point. The fact that, like, I've got, and I haven't booted them yet because I'm drowning in games, but I've got Gears Tactics sitting there. I've got all these Game Pass games sitting there.
Yeah.
That,
like all like Ori is on there. Like if you haven't played that yet, it's there, and it looks beautiful. And, Halo, the whole Halo Master Chief Collection just got the update. So you can technically, if you have a TV that can do it, you can play that in 120 FPS, 4K.
Again, let's go start playing some Halo.
Yeah, it's not happening.
So,
the fact that it's there, the fact that you've got that library, we really wouldn't need to buy any games. I mean, there's so much content there.
Well, you said about Yakuza, but
that's true. Yeah, if it didn't matter, right? If it wasn't if we weren't hungry for the new stuff, if you were just trying to kill, I just want some entertainment. and
Right.
I'm gonna check the service out and see what's there. There's a lot there.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I mean, and they added all the EA Play stuff, which that's a lot of stuff too.
Yeah,
I mean,
Randy and I are going to do Jedi Fallen Order at some point for the podcast. So now that he's got it through Game Pass.
I'm excited to try that out too.
Oh, I booted that game looks really sharp now. Really sharp.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've never played it, so you know, first playing it.
That's great. That was a great way to play it.
Yeah. So I mean, like, just looking at it, I'm sitting here with Game Pass in front of me. Just at launch, you're getting, you know, Jedi Fallen Order, if you haven't played that yet. You get the Tetris Effect Connected, which the multiplayer is apparently, like, really cool. You know, I'm not a big multiplayer, but, you know, you get Gears Tactics. You get Gears 4 and 5, you know, and Gears 5 is getting not only the multiplayer mode, but I think at the end of this, around sometime in December, you're getting
big DLC.
You're getting DLC. So, and that's all coming as part of it, you know. So I just think it's like, nuts that it's a great Destiny 2 is completely on there with expansion with Beyond Light. So, you know, you can play Rainbow Six Siege if you were a Rainbow Six Siege person.
I just installed all those LucasArts adventure games.
Yeah,
just
I did that too.
Get those full throttle trophies. I mean, I got the trophies. Now I can get the achievements.
Right? Well, damn, we went really long for this.
Yep, I know you keep wanting to end the podcast, and either myself or Mark keep forcing you to continue.
Thank God I did not go to my girlfriend's house. She would have killed me. So, well, we'll see. We will be back on the regular night, Friday, to do our more normal show, and we've gotten our 2 reviews out of the way, so decide for yourself, PS5, Xbox Series X, whatever you want to do there. And yeah, we'll see everybody later.
Later.